Songs of Solomon 7, 1-7. The gay pride and transgender pride flag blow in the wind. A dancer dances with rainbow ribbons.
Turn, turn, O Shulamite. Turn, turn, turn before us, that we might gaze upon you. And what is it that you love? What is it you hope to see? As I dance before you, dancing the dance of Mahanu.
Camera focuses on the dancer's feet.
Even your feet are lovely, dancing in their sandals like a ruler's daughter. Your graceful legs are precious jewels, worked by the greatest craftsman of all.
The dancer reaches and holds a chalice.
And your navel is a chalice that I will drink sweetened wine from.
She drinks from the chalice.
Your belly is golden like wheat and scented of lilies. Your breasts are the twin fawns of a gazelle.
She hugs the chalice.
And your neck, graceful as David's ivory tower. But your eyes,
she looks directly into the camera.
Looking into them is like looking into those pools of Heshbon outside the gates of Beth Raimim. And your nose is as delicate as those towers in Lebanon that face out towards Damascus.
She gestures outwardly.
Mount Carmel itself is no more elegant than your head, with its hair weaving a tapestry that would ensnare the proudest. Oh, my pretty one, what a delight you are to look on, with all your charms.
The dancer looks into the camera and smiles. The dancer continues to move her arms up and down like a bird flying. She reaches up towards the rainbow flags, proudly blowing in the wind.
Play with me. May the words in my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, O rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Turn, turn, O Shulamite, turn, turn, turn before us, that we might gaze upon you. And what is it that you love? What is it that you hope to see as I dance before you, dancing the dance of Mahanaim? While I wept and watched Maya and Helen's liturgical offering numerous times, my quick, clear body and heart hardened with joy. Let me tell you a few stories to illustrate why. I have only danced at weddings, at family weddings in particular. I have only talked caring about my quick, clear body when I'm with family in a crowd of people who already know how my body moves, how my feet up slowly, how my hips move gently instead of smoothly, how my arms at times tighten and get stuck. Even then, I wore long dresses hiding my beige voices and warning shoes. Sometimes interest seekers are advised to imagine their audience being naked. So I'm going to flip this around because as a queer woman, I have been naked in front of a number of people by my attendants and those supporting my living, showering, dressing, etc. My body is a body that needs caring. When queer sexuality is spoken about in the media and news, and by the way, I've never heard it spoken about in churches, I am flooded by distressing numbers and horrendous stories. Canadian women with disabilities are twice as likely to be sexually assaulted. 4 in 10 Canadians with a disability were physically and or sexually abused during their childhood. And we know similar stories and numbers are experienced by queer and or racialized bodies. And so queer bodies are to be protected. Sexuality in some queer bodies is feared, sometimes from internalized ableism, and sometimes by paternalistic reactions. Don't get me wrong, these are horrendous events, and they are traumatizing. And it's also harmful for queer minds and bodies whose sexuality is only spoken about through these stories. This results in society infantilizing and desexualizing our bodies. Final story. About a week ago, we recorded our latest podcast episode. On the Zoom call, there were 3 queer bodies, including 2 queer bodies, and one able-bodied mother of an adult son with complex disabilities. Sadly, her son Matthew died at the beginning of the pandemic. The mother of theologians spoke about how her church ignored them and even found Matthew's body and vocalizations undesired in worship. How the congregants would shock in their heads disembodied spirits that may stand up to sin, but otherwise sat still in the pews. In the conversation, we moved through stories of death, suicide, grief, and it's important how one can ever witness God in the midst of chaos. Our disembodied Zoom bodies were heavy with grief and lament, told and untold. I'm not sure what came over me or how God's Spirit was in me, but at one moment I said, I think we need to dance. And that's what we did. A quick, clear, mad, grieving, angry, lovely, beautiful, physical, and bodies dance together. Not to end on lament, not to find hope in moving forward, but to have pride in our bodies and delight in each other's bodies. To discover the power of naming and resisting oppression, death, and the control of our bodies by others, and reclaiming that our bodies matter in God's word. Our dancing matters. Fuck lesbian wonder Audre Lorde penned, quote, when I speak of the erotic, then I speak of it as an assertion of the life force of women, of that creative empowerment, the knowledge and use of which we are now reclaiming in our language, our history, our dancing, our loving, our work, our lives. Reclaiming our dancing bodies as not only needed, but desired. And so my quick little body fluttered with joy in choosing this touch. A non-lectionary touch from an entire book in which God is not mentioned by name. A book deemed by some as not theological enough. That speak of physical and sensual erotic love, deemed by some as too scandalous. That is sometimes narrated by female voices and by Black female voices, deemed too outspoken. Bodies that in all time and context have been oversaturated and objectified. Bodies that yearn for and deserve sacred sensuality. I delighted in finding this icon by Angela Yarber, inspired by our text, naming her quivering curve and undulating lines. Her body was beloved and holy, sacredly sensuous. From her work on this text Angela Yarber names it as absolutely revolutionary, especially for queer women. She locates this poem in the tradition of Arabic love poetry, wasp, and the dancer as a belly dancer, as the writer likened her breast to fawns, her navel as a chalice. The point of belly dancing and even dancing is to shake, tremble, shudder, and jiggle. Historically, she argues, belly dancing was performed by and for women, an opportunity to explore their sexuality, possibly engaging in queer love. And so she identifies the characters in this poem as queer women, one inviting the other to dance, and the other inviting her to list the way she delights in her beloved. An invitational, mutual, queer desire and love. These uncoverings of the text led her to write the icon and claim calling the Shulamite holy is my way of affirming female sexuality. The beautiful variety of the body shape and sizes, and including the queer community in the canon of shape. As I delighted in the turning of our queer clip and clip connected bodies on the Zoom call, as I absolutely delighted in the liturgical dance created by Mia and Helen. I witnessed the holy resistance of being in and affirming all of our bodies, which are connected to the sacred body of the earth in the world and in churches that often do not affirm us. In yearning, Black Connor Bell Hooks writes, quote, I make a definite distinction between that marginality which is imposed by oppressive cultures and that marginality one chooses as site of resistance, as location of radical openness and possibility. This site of resistance is continually formed in that segregated culture of opposition that is all critical response to domination. As queer bodies dance, resisting abuses of powers and resisting all those oppressive others that we as Christians name as sin. We instead delight in how God created us. We delight in how those who love us experience our beings as holy and sacred, with legs accentuated by and held with voices, with hips that jerk and pause, and with arms that pause them and release. I put all in this God who delights and who we praise when we flutter with joy. Amen.